Thank you for joining me for what I'm more or less calling my story/spoiler run through Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This is your warning that from this point forward, this video and all of the videos in this series are full of spoilers and speculation for the complete story in Rebirth, so everything we're given in-game. It will be looking at ideas and elements from Remake, as well as the original Final Fantasy VII, start to finish, so including beyond where we are in the story, the whole story start to finish of OG7. It will be incorporating ideas and plot elements from the books, On the Way to a Smile, The Kids Are All Right, Tale of Two Pasts. It will probably come up once or twice discussing Advent Children, the movie, and I will give you fair warning, it is such a convoluted story, and going back through it for how many times I've watched other people play, I've watched my play, I've recorded these videos, as many times as I've gone through it, there's always new ideas and thoughts that I have while doing stuff, so you'll see little interruptions occasionally throughout the video, like this! And those are just, during the editing process, something I forgot to mention. I came in and thought of it, and so added it in after fact. So, if those are annoying, sorry, but it is what it is. So, I want these to generate discussion. I want to hear your thoughts, so please join me in the comments. Tell me things that maybe I missed. If you see something you missed, let me know. If you think I'm wrong about something, please. If you think I'm going off into crazy town. If you think I'm on the right track, great, let's talk about it. Maybe discussion will raise some more ideas. Anyway, without further ado, thank you for joining me. I love this game. Hopefully you do too, so let's get into it. Okay, about to play the date scenes here, and I've watched all of them once, and then I've seen the Tifa one many times, because I think every single person whose playthrough I've watched on this game has ended up with Tifa, except one person, the first date, they ended up with nothing. I have not seen their second date yet. But yeah, I think every single person that I've watched has been Tifa. There may have been one Aerith in there somewhere. So, alright, let's see what we got here. Alright, yeah, I think we're starting with Aerith.
Marks. You know, there's a showing of love, and I've got 2 tickets to it. Plus, you and I.
So then they all start off pretty much the same. Someone's out there saying, hey, there's a love list, let's go see it. And the love list part of it is relatively the same. Obviously, who comes and opens the cell for you is different and is in the outfit at the end. And then who, based on who you have with you, maybe holding your hand while Aerith sings, either Yuffie or Tifa, or you're just standing by yourself. I think if Aerith is the singer. I think. I don't remember that part very well.
So, shall we?
So the Aerith one, I think they did a really good job balancing Aerith versus Tifa and not making one necessarily more canon than the other, if you will. There's some people who will argue that because of the ending of the Tifa date, which we'll see in a minute, is a kiss, that makes that one the true date because it's the real relationship for Cloud. And I've seen people argue that Aerith is the true one just because it's Aerith. Obviously, I think both of those people are coming from a Team Tifa or Team Aerith perspective. I think they did a good job of not making it so that either one could be acceptable without disrupting the overall storyline and the story they're telling. So, because, I mean, I am personally of the opinion that since we have the influence of Ultima Aerith, and I've felt this all the way along, and I've said it in previous videos, that she is aware that she and Cloud are not destined to be together long term. She knows her fate, and she knows that she can't avoid her fate in the long run. And so Aerith is Team Tifa in my eyes.
Well, you would know.
That doesn't mean that she doesn't have very strong feelings for Cloud. Definitely as close as could possibly be as friends, I think, even though they've literally only known each other a couple of months at this point, at best.
So much.
And that's stretching it. Probably less than a month, honestly. But
Isn't it?
so whether it's just a really, really close, quickly built, close friendship, or if there's a romantic aspect to it, either way,
You were just like
she
them.
is extremely close to Cloud, and you could read this. And so, okay, so here we go to the real meat of it.
Oh, it was you.
So obviously she's talking about Zack
The
here.
way you walked. The way you carried yourself.
The way, and the interesting is, you know, the way you carried yourself, the way you walked, a lot of that was Cloud's copying of Zack's persona that he has assumed as part of this, I'm a soldier. So the things that she noticed are things that he was literally copying about Zack. And so
And I'm trying so
it's
hard to
interesting
find
that
you.
Aerith at this point is saying she's interested in the real him, and she's trying to find the real him.
You are.
That line can still mean either find the real you inside because that's the one I'm interested in romantically, or etc., or just that she really is trying to get in touch with that version of Cloud to try and help save him
Hey,
in this
Barret.
story.
I talked to Cloud.
This is, I think, is the same for both.
How they were friends 5 years ago.
Remember Zack?
I don't think so. At least not about anything important.
And again, I want to hear the rest of that conversation. Because, again, those two have clearly talked to each other about it. And it drives me a little bit crazy that we see these references, we know it's happening, but we just don't know what's said.
Just till the ride's over.
But see, I mean, see again, she just wants to be able to hold on to him while she can. So even if this Aerith does have some romantic feelings for Cloud, I think in her heart and her brain, she knows that it can't be long term. So she'll take what she can get for as long as she can get, knowing that it's not going to be there forever. And it's a very sweet thing. And you see the way their hands are interlaced here. Someone said there's a Japanese term for it, for the interlacing of hands. I don't know. I'll try and look it up for the comments. And if I don't put it up here, then that means I couldn't find it. But then they do the same thing at the very end when...
Hey, thanks for tonight.
After you beat Sephiroth, and they're back to back, they again interlace fingers, and
Well,
then
my
Aerith
warriors,
disappears.
You and me. We'll show
And it's
'em tomorrow.
very sweet, it's very touching, and it's very intimate,
Yeah.
romantically or just as friends. And I mean, I'm sorry, but I mean, ultimately, Aerith is just an absolute sweetheart. I can't help but love her. I'm just,
Doze off?
honestly,
Those
will always be
pillow
Team
marks say
Tifa.
different.
I think Tifa and Cloud are a
Yeah.
better couple for each other, honestly. And I think Zack and Aerith are a better couple for each other, honestly.
Anyway, want to broaden your artistic horizons?
Okay,
Loveless
so
is playing
Tifa.
here.
Obviously,
And
basically
I
the
got
same
us
beginning.
tickets.
We're gonna go see Loveless together.
Sure.
After that,
No real
we could
difference in
ride
the play.
Sky wheel.
I'm down for that.
Cool. Ready to ride?
Each moment breathtaking.
You ready for this? A gondola's here.
And of course, both of the potentially romantic dates start with an awkward,
After you.
getting a little too close to each other
First.
moment here.
Cloud?
And I appreciate that in a minute, Tifa comes out and says, I don't think we've ever been this close to each other not as children, not as
we
not
can steer
even
with
recently, etc.
Worth a
Because
try.
I mean, she's extremely right in that, because she and Cloud were not close as
Here
kids.
goes.
All of the closeness and the connection really between them comes from one shared memory, the water tower, of course, which feels almost out of place amidst everything else, given Cloud's cloudiness as a kid. But you don't doubt that the moment between the two is genuine. And then all of their time together as adults,
Well,
which has been them growing slowly closer and closer together, because it's not like the second Cloud showed up, Tifa's like, oh, hello, Cloud. I mean, there's a recognition, there's a connection, but it slowly builds over the course of time. Cloud really doesn't get embarrassed by seeing Tifa dressed up for Don Corneo, for instance.
being a jockey
And
looks
if
so
Cloud
fun.
had reacted the way he did at the
definitely not what the
beach
races are
at
like.
that moment, that might have
I
suggested
guess
a
I
bit
just
more
have to see
going
for
on
myself.
at that point. But it wasn't, because they hadn't built that far yet. But now we get to the beach, and Cloud sees Tifa in bathing suit or the cutoffs, and is like, yes. And so you can tell that his interest has grown over time, which I think was a really subtle way of doing it by not doing it too much in Remake. It allowed them to increase it in Rebirth and have it feel more natural, I think. And again, they're both awkward. Here we get back to this moment.
Have you talked to Aerith?
Cloud doesn't know how to date. Bringing up other women on a date, typically not a good idea.
I talked to Cloud.
But
He
then this
said
is the guy who
he
brings women to
remembers
fighting Colosseums for dates.
how
So
they were friends
What do
5
you want?
years ago.
What?
and it's interesting. I mean, they are both hiding that conversation from him. Which again, I've said all along, they're having these conversations
Touchy
and
subject,
hiding
huh?
it from Cloud.
She must still have feelings for Zack.
I think it's a little more complicated than that.
It is way more complicated than that, yes, Tifa. And it's not that Aerith has feelings for
Hey,
Cloud. It's
kind of weird us being here
all
like
the
this,
all the things
isn't it?
that go into it. But see here, then this is them as like they're
Is it?
acknowledging they're feeling it out. It's like, is this weird?
I guess it is.
I don't know. It's like
Kinda.
both of them are interested, but can't tell if it's weird that they're interested. They're not sure. And
Ever
here we
since
go.
We left Midgar on this crazy
It's-
journey.
I
ever
feel that.
since
I
we
mean,
were
they're both
kids,
awkward. They're both still pretty young, to be honest. I say this
can't
is a
remember a time
40-something-year-old
like this.
father, but it still feels very
We
genuine
were this
and
close.
very realistic. I think that they're feeling this way and not sure of how they feel. They're not sure how the other person feels or how it'll be received.
Or am I
And I think this is
getting ahead of
beautifully
myself
done,
again?
honestly, for both of these
Yeah.
two, Tifa and Aerith.
Yeah,
Both very well done.
again.
I think I've seen a couple of people saying it's like, "Oh, this isn't realistic. This is, so over the top or ham-handed or whatever," and not even comparing to other video games
Not
that are
one bit.
so much less than this. But I mean, just comparing to reality, I am a bit of a romantic at heart, and none of this feels outside the realm of possibility. Some of these even feel like conversations I had around that age, to be honest. So I think these were very realistically done between both of these two first dates. I think on my normal playthrough, I was watching that one, comparing it to Hitch, going, "No, you don't go 90. You don't go the whole 100. You go 90. Then they go the 10." Or that's what I was thinking. I forget how much of it I said out loud, but. But I mean, even look at Tifa's body language.
We should probably head back to
They're
our
still-
rooms.
They're slightly embarrassed. They're not entirely sure what they did was okay, but they both think it is, and they want to make sure that the other person still thinks that. And Barret.
Everything okay?
Who doesn't love
Putting
Barret?
a
Come on.
production tonight, and I happen to have these tickets. I thought it'd be nice to see one of the plays Jesse was in,
And I like that,
might
you know,
feel
this
the
is the way
same.
they tie
Just
Barrett's
you
in
and
is
me.
through Jesse. I think
Oh,
that is
just
an
think of
absolutely
it as
perfect
one
way
of your
to do it
jobs, Merc.
for him.
Fine.
Because
It'll cost you.
you know, yeah, I haven't seen the Barret Date of the play part, so I don't know how how different that might be. But you know, he would give anything to see the real Jesse in this play,
We really
and
doing
seeing
this?
essentially the
Could use some
recording
peace and quiet,
of her
couldn't you?
is the only thing he'll ever get to see of her, because she would not. I don't think there would have been any reason for him to have seen her when she was still alive, because she stopped working at the Saucer to join Avalanche and work with Avalanche. So before that, I don't think he knew her, and probably never saw it. And you also notice Barrett's got the glasses on. The entire concept of this date, and again, I haven't seen the Loveless part, but I assume he had the glasses on for anything to do with Jesse there.
Hey,
But Barret is guarded here.
you trying to break it?
Just messing with you.
I don't remember Barrett's Date, honestly. His is the one that I remember the least from watching this.
Incredible.
Oh, and now the glasses are off. And now they're back on. So that brief moment he was open and excited and etc., and then boom, glasses back on, shields back up.
When I was about your age, I decided I'd had enough of the mines. Wasn't much interested in any kind of work. I was young and wanted to enjoy my youth.
Kids today, they never want to work.
And then I met a sweet girl named Myrna. Knew right away she was the one. But Myrna, she wasn't buying what I was selling. Told me she was in the market for a man, not a selfish little boy.
I like Myrna.
If I
Just
was
from
gonna
just
live
from
with
this, I
her,
love Myrna. She's
I had
awesome.
some growing up to do. Otherwise, she'd never give me the time of day. Funny enough, our first date was at a theme park.
And that's the thing,
Nowhere
honestly,
near
is
as big
that
as this place, of course. Just a traveling
Being with
fair
someone
with a handful
that
of
makes you want to
vibes.
be the best version of yourself is the way it should be.
We ended
Being with
up
someone
riding
who
these wooden
makes you want to change
chocobos
into
round
somebody
and
else
round, laughing our
generally
asses
doesn't go
off.
very well. And clearly Myrna was the former of those
Look
two.
at me, boring you with my old stories.
Wouldn't be the first time. Don't worry. I'm used to
Yeah, I
it.
don't think Cloud minds. Not for this kind of thing.
Yeah, well.
As we've
the
seen, we've
lesson
seen
here
Cloud
is once you find
and
your
Barret get
soulmate,
closer together
you
as
never
friends
let 'em go.
over the course of this story.
Although seeing it just stuck right
Really,
in
really
the
enjoyed
I'm thinking you probably
the way
already did.
Cloud came to Barret and
Hey,
helped him up
you
at the end of
invited
the
me.
dying section.
Right, because I learned to make the first move, which is exactly what you gotta do.
You might need to make a move, Cloud,
Duly
yes.
noted.
That one's nice. It's
Thanks for
it's
coming out
probably
I appreciate
my
it.
second least favorite of them, but that's a really
Tomorrow, we're
it's
gonna
like being
go
the
to
worst
town
of the
for all the
best.
suckers.
Really, it's still amazing and
Yeah.
thoroughly enjoyable, and I love the moments between them there.
Mark my words.
Yuffie's
Next
is
time, I'm
I
gonna
think
be the leading lady.
like
Sing the materia song.
Tifa and Aerith. like vying for first. I don't know which of those I would say I like best. Honestly, I love them both because those are the two best for me, no matter what. Yuffie is right underneath those as far as me enjoying this one, and then Red, we'll see. I think is probably next, and then Barret, and then the last one.
This makes perfect.
Practice for what?
For when the real thing comes around.
Yep.
Hey, aren't you forgetting someone?
I do appreciate Cloud's that. I'm just like, fine, let's just go here, and it makes Yuffie catch up. And really, what does it for me with Yuffie's is when she gets to discussing who we come to find out. If you've played Crisis Core, you know she's talking about Zack. And it's one of those things that a lot of times I get irritated when characters have some form of association with each other that really doesn't make any sense and doesn't further the narrative, and it just... And honestly, Cid and Ifalna is an example of that for me. That I don't think it's necessary, and I said it earlier. I don't think that's necessary between the two. Yuffie and Zack isn't necessary, but really adds to the characters. Like, if she had not met Zack in Crisis Core, if she wasn't in Crisis Core, wouldn't change anything at all. Her being there makes sense in the story. It's an interesting, fun tie-in, but the fact that they brought it up and they make this part of her character and showing it here not only ties back to that, but also it is a valid tie between these two characters. It's a connection. And I really do appreciate the way they do this. And she's, I mean, you look at him, and if you just turned the lights out and you saw a silhouette, Cloud and Zack look an awful lot alike.
So, I heard you and Tifa go way back.
Yeah, Yuffie probably has a small crush on Cloud.
I also heard she used to have a pretty big crush on you.
That's so.
Well, not at first. Apparently, even as a kid, you had that weird loner vibe. But then one day, she got the love bug.
One day, recently perhaps?
You into her?
Don't remember.
Really? Though, I guess that makes sense. Tifa said she was so busy.
Yeah, I mean, that's the sort of, we don't get a sense of what their later days in Midgar or in Nibelheim were like together. So there may have been more in there than I said earlier about them not being close. But
I had a thing for a
yep,
soldier
there it
once.
is.
At least I think he was a soldier. I wanted to prove myself, so I hit him with my best moves. It was like I was firing energy blasts. After a few salvos, he shouted,
"Ah, you got me!"
And at the
Very
time, I totally
Zack.
got it.
And we've seen the way he reacts with Marlene. You can imagine how he was with
Playing along for a
Yuffie
dumb
if you haven't
kid.
played Crisis Core. Which you haven't, highly recommend it. It's fun to play.
And once I realized that, I was pissed. I couldn't stop thinking about him. I swore to myself that one day I'd blast that jerk for real. Did some hardcore training so I could give him a beatdown. But eventually, it dawned on me. He
Yep.
was just being
Zack
nice.
is just a really
He
good
was a
guy.
really nice guy. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized, wow,
I question anybody who doesn't really like Zack.
maybe it's because of those feelings that I still can't fire energy blasts.
I can help.
With the energy blasts? Or my feelings?
The former.
Energy blast powered by feelings. Yeah.
I think we both
Yeah,
kinda
Cloud's
suck
not too
at that
good with his
department.
feelings now. But I find it interesting, you know, like that he can have this discussion with her. Cloud and Yuffie have this big brother, little sister vibe going on. And again, she may or may not have a bit of a crush on Cloud.
I mean, that is the sort of thing you're supposed to do in these
But
situations. It was just practice. So,
in the end,
don't
it really
think
is
means
big brother,
anything,
little
okay?
sister, whether she realizes it or not. I think she just hasn't had that sort of connection before and doesn't
Thing.
recognize it, doesn't know how to treat it or how to deal with it. And I think this sort of helps her recognize that and feel that sort of bond.
Hey, if I ever see that guy again, what should I do?
That's up to you. But if it were me, I'd let him have it.
And it's cute. I mean, that is exactly the sort of thing that Zack would have done in reaction to her, so it's good to see that sort of playfulness in Cloud, which you don't normally ever get to see anymore.
Tell anyone about
Well, I mean,
her.
ever really,
You're a
because he
dead man.
wasn't even all that playful when he was a kid. He was way too serious. Red! They should call him Nanaki.
Hey, what's up?
But I think all the
Nothing.
references to Red
Didn't find anyone.
actually help
Thought they might be
reinforce the
here.
fact that
Just me.
following Cosmo Canyon, I think most of the
Actually,
time,
there's
all the
this
time,
play I wanna
I'm
see,
not sure the frequency,
would you mind coming
Barret
I
starts
already have the
referring to him
tickets,
as
but
Nanaki.
Look at me. There's no way I'm
More
doing it by
often
myself.
or
I got
all
you.
the time, I don't know
You
which,
do?
but
Great.
I just notice him calling him Nanaki, even in combat and in some of the dialogue toward the end of the game.
You ready to rock?
So I think everybody else not calling him that and the game not referring to him as Nanaki very often, I think helps reinforce the fact that Barret does. Which I think is sweet. And it's interesting, you can see in his face, really, when he is
Come on.
Nanaki and when he's Red. When he's got the deeper voice going and he's got the younger voice going, he just looks younger, like that.
Cool it.
How can I? It's Whoa.
And of course, we got all the same cutscenes on all these, but
I got this. Pretty good, right?
You're a pro.
and again, Red and Cloud end up with almost like a big brother, little brother relationship going on here. It's very not too dissimilar from him and Yuffie. And it's that youth. I mean,
Hey,
Nanaki
you're gonna
is
drool on the seat.
roughly Yuffie's age, relatively speaking. And so the two of them have this moment here that you see that if I remember right is very sort of a brotherly relationship. I think was also well done. And I think it says something about the game that they went to
Alright.
this length
doesn't leave the
to
right,
give
okay.
all of the
It might
possibilities
sound crazy,
a
but
relationship
back in Midgard,
conversation.
Aerith and I could both see the future.
Okay, so now this is
Well,
different.
That would explain a lot. I'm guessing you can't anymore, though?
Nope, not even a bit. Whatever we had, I think the Whispers took it from us when we left.
Huh.
Seems arbiters of fate can do whatever they want.
So you told
I
us.
do wonder
Oh, did I?
if it's not so much that the
Wonder if this
Whispers
means we'll
stole
eventually
the
forget
knowledge,
they even exist.
but because
better off
that
if
was
we
no
did,
longer the
There's no
fate
point in
we're
wasting
going
our time
towards,
worrying about fate
since we
if we
broke
can't
fate.
change it.
You're right.
If that's what essentially
there
leaks
is
the
one
memories
thing I
out
need
because
you to
they're
remember.
trying to remember something that now
have to
won't
keep
happen
Aerith safe.
in the world that they're in.
I mean it, Cloud. I don't remember what's supposed to happen, but I do know she's
But
in
that's
danger.
still the same. Aerith is in danger no matter what.
Jake,
What?
I had not thought about that until seeing this here. That if that's why the knowledge is gone, not just because the Whispers took it. And maybe it was them draining it in remake and soft pause.
Nothing. Forget it.
They drained it in remake, and specifically Aerith's materia might have been drained because of that. But again, we did not see Aerith's materia in remake. We only see it since it has been drained in here. So
In private, Cloud.
I'm curious
you're good company. Thanks.
how much of specifically things like Red, who didn't have the knowledge of his own volition or power or sourcing, etc. He got it from Aerith. If the fact that we're now in this world contributed to that. Because you think about it, and maybe that's not the case. It's, as I'm thinking through this a little bit, that may not be the case, because Marlene is in the doomed world, which is also not on the path of the original timeline, and Marlene retains that information to give to Zack. So that may not be a thing, but still, it's worth wondering. Just, you know, what is the mechanism by which those memories are drained, and if there is any relationship to it being no longer available to them, with memories being taken either by just the world they're in or by the Whispers, specifically because it's of a future that now theoretically no longer exists, is not likely, is not part of the world they're in. You could look at it that since Marlene is in a very small, contained, doomed world that is accepting its fate and on its way out the door, there's not really a reason. I mean, the Whispers don't show up in the doomed worlds, in Zack's worlds, except when it's time. Well, no, I don't. Except, you know, when they're coming in to do something, like Sephiroth slicing open the ground for Zack at the end. But, you know, they're not trying to change anything or retain anything. But in our world, which I maintain is a doomed world, but it's the one that Aerith is trying to push into reality to become real, and the real outcome of the story. The Whispers are still an active force on both sides, and thus the future that we diverted by defeating the Harbinger, that future is no longer, hopefully, the same outcome. I don't know. I'll admit that breaks down a bit there, but I don't know. There may be a nugget of something in there that is valid, but I think a lot of that was probably, having talked it through, I don't think a lot of that applies. Thanks for following along in my rambling insanity. But, okay, the last of the dates is my least favorite, only because it's not the other ones. I still enjoy it, it's still fun, but, you know, if you have to rank them, this is lowest on the list, because something's got to be at the bottom.
Nope.
And it's the Motley
Just
Crue.
happened to stumble across some tickets to Loveless, and thought I'd share my good fortune with you.
Because I'm ex-Shinra?
No, I wanted to invite everyone, but they'd already
And
gone
so
off
this
their
one
own.
is if you don't know, this is the one that you get if you don't have strong relationships with anybody else. If there's nobody strong enough to earn a date, you get the everyone else one, which is funny but not really story worth wise, if I remember right.
Y'all leave the flying to me.
Doesn't it work like that?
See, Everybody just climbs on. There's no awkward, oh, close-up moment between
Will we
Cloud and
just sit
Vincent.
here
Much
and
to many
spin?
people's chagrin, I'm sure.
Could at least thrown in a joystick.
That seems joysticky.
Oh?
I think Sid probably wants like a little light gun to start shooting at some of the
dumb kid's
attractions,
toy.
Come
earn some
on.
points,
At least we can enjoy the scenery.
see how many chocobos you can shoot on the way, and the spaceships and stuff.
Just
I think Sid
look.
would enjoy that.
You've got a space battle unfolding right before your very eyes. Tell me that doesn't send a chill down your spine. Oh no! Evasive action!
Hard to port.
Oh, made it by the skin of our teeth.
I thought Kate is the one most interested in watching all of this stuff and is just
People sometimes ask me to predict who will win a
looking at
race.
all the wonderful things, and he's pointing everything out. He's doing all these things,
If I
and
could do that,
he's the one that
wouldn't
worked
I
here.
still be working here now, would I?
Is it because he's honestly that excited, or just because that's part of his job is, you know, building the excitement around these very things for people? And he is getting nowhere with this crowd.
Whoa! Talk about a breathtaking spectacle! Seriously, are you lads seeing this? To hell with you, you wee scunners! Barbarians! I provide entertainment in spades. and
Even
all I
that,
get
no
is
reaction,
crickets.
nothing.
Can we go any faster? This is
And
torture.
how do you think I feel?
Kate, zip it.
Why are you taking his side? I'm the one trying to make this fun. Open the doors! Let me off of this thing!
So, there's the dates. If you hadn't watched any of them, hopefully this was amusing at least. Anyway, back to I guess we're going into the Corneo Colosseum fight. So I'll see you there in just a second. And here we go.
Full disclosure, didn't know anything about this promised land. But I do now, and seriously, wow, find of the century.
You never know. That intel could be bad.
Our conclusions are based on a long-standing theory. It's safe to assume the temple and the Promised Land are
Which
one
seems a
and the
little
same.
silly to me, but
If the ancients headed there, then it's gotta be the right place. Good thing we let her go.
I understand the Keystone is to be awarded to the winners of today's special event. How should we proceed?
I have an idea.
well, to be fair, it's going to be awarded to the winners if it's us. I don't think Dio's going to give it to Corneo if Corneo wins.
All right. Let's bring this one home.
Okay, so obviously the Musclehead Colosseum fight is ahead. The Don Corneo fight really isn't all that interesting, but there is the tiny bit in the middle there when we get to Rufus. So I'll be honest, for this playthrough right now, for this chapter and a couple other places throughout this playthrough, I have had to re-record some of this stuff just from some audio, some corruption issues and other things. So like right now I'm not in the hard mode on this chapter, so I'm just going to be breezing through this fight. I already did the hard mode, and so sometimes if you see me go into menus and it looks like I've already got everything complete, and sometimes maybe it doesn't, that's because in the other cases I had to re-record some bits. So it's not important to the story that I'm recording all of this around, so I haven't made a big deal out of it. But occasionally there have been some weird things like that, which hopefully you haven't even noticed. But so I'm going to breeze through these really fast, get to the middle of the fight here, record a little bit around the appearance of the Shinra folk and obviously the Keystone stuff, and then we'll pretty much be closing out the chapter at the end of this fight. So I'll see you when we get to that part. Bye-bye. No cactuar thingies.
Hold on tight. Roger.
Bonk.
Hey, fancy bit more. I'm just getting started.
Bonk.
I'll not be losing one of my 9 lives to the likes of you.
For sure in Advent Children, there's a bit where Kate is riding on Red as well, so I like that they do that sort of thing a couple of different times. He said excitedly.
Don't count us out yet, though, because we've still got 3 combatants ready to go!
Tired?
Nope. All good.
Which one of these? Oh, the stabby berries. Which again are the most adorable, deadly critter in all of Final Fantasy.
Retribution is at hand.
In the next and final round, to the winners go the spoils and the glory.
I really don't like the Donberry fight, even though they're normal combat, to be honest.
Corneo to go.
Right.
I forgot about that part. Clyde walked into that fight and died.
Who wants to be the first lucky lady?
Arguably the only character in this entire game who is more cringe than Hojo in his own special way. Smash 'em, crush 'em time.
Hey. We cutting them off?
Or should we rip them all?
Rip 'em, smash 'em, excuse me.
That or smash them, maybe?
Maybe Barrel will just shoot 'em off.
Let's fill them with lead.
Don't bother. I'll just bite them off.
Or Red in that case.
You're all so mean! So petty! Picking on a poor small business owner! Yeah. But hell, I can take it, and I can give as good as I get. So, all of you can, kiss my ass!
He remains a weird
Hi-ho, my sewer
villain.
stallion!
He who runs away gives up naming rights today. Ladies and gentlemen, it's all over.
Victory goes to
Theo's champions.
you damn right!
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
We did it! We won!
Of course we did.
Aerith! We did it.
Yeah.
Yay!
Thanks to you, my champions, the Gold Saucer's name shall not be profaned. For this great boon, allow me to embrace you each in turn.
Yeah, we're good with just the Keystone.
And we'll take it now, thank you.
I don't get to hug all the pretty women.
I will not deny you what is yours by right. Behold, your prize.
Grudge match.
Seriously?
You give that back right now.
No, you don't! Come and get it! Too slow. Catch! Shame on you.
Is it though?
Shinra property.
Cut the bullshit.
Red!
Now what's sad is how not far Kate makes it.
All right.
By the time we're done fighting the Turks and Rufus,
Have you deal with them?
he literally just makes it into the next lobby and stays there.
It's time to get some payback for the mines.
A grudge match then, over which I must insist you allow me to officiate.
At least they give us this, you know.
To ensure a fair and entertaining bout, we'll give you a chance to rest before the festivities. Once you're ready, you need but say the word.
You should have run.
You know I can't do that.
We'll make it quick.
You think you could hurry it up? Just let me kick your ass already.
Are you ready to duke it out?
Let's go.
Fantastic. Then without further ado... Nobody brings the hype like us! Touch and catch! Make some noise, y'all! Ladies and gentlemen...
They do hype things up more than Dio, let's be honest.
Ready or not, it's time to rumble!
They're obnoxious, and their loyalty to the Dawn is extremely obnoxious, but they do this job well.
We're just getting warmed up.
Nope, time for the boss.
Right, Rude?
Yeah. This fight's far from over.
And again, the reason I'm including this part really is just for the fact that Rufus has read Cloud's file, knows who he is and isn't with the company, and still says nothing, which I find here especially interesting. Because he doesn't want anything from Cloud here. He's not trying to make a bargain with him. This would be the perfect time to screw with Cloud a little bit, throw him off balance. They faced each other single-handedly atop Shinra Tower. Then, presumably, Rufus read Cloud's file, met with him in Junon, and is now fighting him again one-on-one here, with the intent of fighting him one-on-one. So it's not like he stumbled into this. So throwing Cloud off his game would be a smart move.
Doing here?
You're still a Shinra employee, at least on paper. And as your boss, I figured I'd dispose of you personally.
Was that meant to be a joke?
You two go. Wait with Sun.
And they get there before the kitty.
Got my number this time?
Let's see, shall we?
I've heard of aggressive managers, but this boss is cutthroat!
It's corporate downsizing with a vengeance. You want to savor the action. Don't even think
Mr. President. There should never
And
be a
neither
soldier.
will you. Something's coming right there. Come on. You know Rufus is thinking something like that.
So, are we gonna go after him?
Not yet. First,
We find Kate Sith, right?
right.
Yeah, come on. You know Rufus is thinking something petty like that. He just can't say it. For some reason, he's saving it.
Ladies and gentlemen, both teams are disqualified. I don't think anyone could have predicted this outcome.
Disqualified my butt. I kicked his butt.
Should we look for the others?
Him and his
too?
little dog, too.
After Kate, okay?
Alright.
Nice one. That's the best match I've seen in a minute.
He can't have gotten far.
And he literally didn't. He's right there still.
Hey!
Good job, Aerith.
I hate to do this. Oh, leave me alone.
Well, it's a good thing he knocked over those ropes. Otherwise, we never would have been able to get through there. So obviously, I've said before, this the way they handle Kate Sith here, infinitely better than the way he stuck around with the party in OG7 by kidnapping Marlene and blackmailing us into it. And then you just sort of conveniently forget that and never talk about it again. So the fact that he actually leaves the party and has to come back, I think, is a much better way of dealing with it. And I mean, it's plausible every step of the way here, the way the sequence plays out, that why he did it, the way he did it, the way he comes back, why we let him back, everything actually plays out in a reasonable manner. And the cat who left first is the last one to get to the helipad. I like that the designs on the side match the shrinking, rotating square motif of the ancient temple. You very rarely get a good look at the keystone for more than, a second or so at a time. So it's nice to be, if you take a look at it, it's nice to be able to appreciate that design on there.
Care to explain, cat?
It's not how it looks.
What was I thinking? Trusting you? The company man with a heart of gold. Huh? What a joke.
Barret, no, please.
Screw it. Piece of shit ain't worth the bullets anyway.
And of course, Aerith's comment of
understand.
being a better judge of characters, that she's right. She is.
Because
He
he's an asshole. One we should have
is a
never
good
trusted in the
character,
first place.
really.
Don't. He deserves it.
Not you too. Knew from the start it had to end this way, but it still stings. For a moment there, it felt like we were friends.
Like, I saw people play through this who didn't know what was going on. It was their first time playing an FF7.
I'm so
Who were
pissed at Kate right now.
like, they
laughing
were
at us from his
taken
new office.
completely by surprise, and they felt that level of shock and sadness and everything. So I mean, the fact that first timers come into this and felt the appropriate emotions along with them, I think is very telling of how well that was done.
I'll be fine. Just thought I was a better judge of character.
Forget him.
So what's the plan then? We are not just gonna let him take the black materia, right? We're gonna go after him, right?
And how are we supposed to do that without any leads?
He's got a point. The only one who knows where the temple is Kate Seth.
That really is something that Kate should have told us about to avoid just this problem, since he did want us to go there eventually, just didn't want us to be there first.
The moment they get on comms, I'll find them.
Well now, the old gal's got a transmitter.
Then we're in business.
All right.
Certainly we can't just
I'll run
hijack
ahead
one of
and
those
get her
colorful
warmed up for you.
helicopters there and follow them. That would be silly.
It's settled then. We follow Shinra to the temple. And the black materia?
Stop looking at your hand when you say that. Foreshadowingly weird. Okay, so before we leave Chapter 12, really fast, I just want to discuss a couple of honorable mention side quests that I'm not doing because I already beat them, and I'm not playing through them again for this. But notably, the Sand and Circuses one that takes place in the Dust Bowl right below us, which is the one with Leslie, who was Don Corneo's helper in Remake. Leslie is actually in some of the books afterwards. I know he shows up in the Turks story, The Kids Are All Right. I forget if he's in On the Way to a Smile as well, but I know he's in The Kids Are All Right. And the girl that he's trying to help and find and get back together with, that he lost his fiance, etc., he is together with her in that book. And they're expecting a child. Merle, I think. M-E-R-L-E. I forget if we ever hear it said to know for sure how to pronounce that. But anyway, so by the time of the book, which is after Midgar's collapse, etc., in OG, he has found her, they've gotten back together again, and they are expecting a family. And he eventually goes back and maybe kind of starts doing a little bit of work for the Dawn, just to... not because he wants to, but because he has to. He's got to make ends meet for the sake of what's going on in his life and in the world, etc. And so he kind of does a little bit of work on the side for the Dawn at that point. But it's an interesting way of him being in the story, and that of course came first. So they put him in Remake to give him a place, and the fact that him, just like Kyrie, has a place in the story that already existed because of the books, which I think, again, is a brilliant way of bringing in some of these characters that are in other media and bringing them back into the game. So that those of us who play the games but maybe hadn't read the books, like I was when I first played Remake, for instance, it gives us a tie-in on stuff like that. So I think it's a really nice way of doing it, and I'm rooting for him. And before I had read the book, I finished this game, and so I was like, okay, dude, I really hope we get to see what happens with him and his girl in part 3. So I'm assuming we will, and there will be another quest or something with him in part 3 where he and Merle will get back together again, so that they can go beyond that at the end of the game and be together and start, raising a family with the kid. Let's see, I already talked about Barret's weapon that I had on my list here to talk about, and the Woodland Vigil with Cessna I did a little bit earlier, and then the other one that I wanted to mention, I touched on it briefly, is the Lament of the Damned, which is, I think it's relationship points with Barret, I forget, but really the story and everything to do is around Vincent, because it's going down underneath Shinra Manor and dealing with sort of the remnants of Hojo's experiments there, and specifically that you get the mention of Lucretia there. Because Vincent and Lucretia, or Vincent was in love with Lucretia. It's been a long time since I've read or played OG7 and really read some of this, anything to do with her. I don't remember what her feelings were towards Vincent. I think they had something. And I never finished playing Dirge of Cerberus, so I don't know how much or if anything she comes in there. So if you know more about the relationship between Vincent and Lucretia that I'm remembering, drop a comment and explain it a little bit, because I mean, I'm going to go back and probably read about it, but as far as bringing it into this video, it's worth mentioning because she is mentioned in that quest, and then it's like he tells us that she was Hojo's assistant who would do anything for him. But he doesn't explain if she and Hojo had a thing of some sort, like, a little bit of a love triangle going on, or if it was just that she was so devoted to Hojo's research that she was willing to bear his child, Sephiroth, in furtherance of the research, or exactly what that situation was. I know she felt guilt about what happened, and there were some strong emotions around it. And you get to talk to a version of her in OG when you're tracking down Vincent's ultimate limit break and weapons and stuff. But again, it's been so long since I played OG7, I don't remember what's said in the scene. So if you have some insights to refresh me, please drop a comment and just remind me of what I'm forgetting there. So anyway, aside from that, we're going to go close out the chapter, and that will close out this series. So let's go take care of that now.
Need that radio.
Thing's practically an antique.
Even better.
Okay, give me a read.
Okay. I forgot that it ended and started quite that fast. So, anyway. That brings to a close Chapter 12 and this series in this story and spoiler mode. Hopefully you're along for the ride and you've watched most or all the previous ones. If you haven't, not for the sake of the likes and the views and crap like that, but just for the sake of the discussion, so that we're talking about the same thing, really. I encourage you to go back and watch those. I think I've covered and discussed most of the important story beats, and at least brought them out to be talked about. So if you go back and you see anything in the other videos that you disagree with or that I missed, I actually really do want comments and discussion around some of this stuff, and so please let me know. But I mean, selfishly, please like the videos and subscribe just for more content in general, but my focus on these videos is really just about trying to get discussion and to go through and re-examine these games from this perspective. So thank you for joining me for as many of these videos as you have so far. We'll be going into Chapter 13. Obviously is going to be pretty story heavy and lots to discuss, and 14 is going to be practically nothing but it's a short chapter, but it's all discussion practically. So please join me when that series comes out sometime soon, and hopefully I'll see you in the comments. Thanks a lot, and hope everybody's having a great day. Bye.